What do you bring to the table?
Are you seriously asking me this?
She didn't answer. A very relevant question. Before proceeding with this video, I would like to mention that there are a lot of channels out there doing similar type of content, but instead of coming up with constructive criticism, they lash out, become dramatic, and play into the viewer's wish for indignation, wish for hate and self-flagellation. It's easy to become sucked into the something negative and dramatic, brush off things as being irrational, unreasonable, and go back to their everyday life without accomplishing anything, without going forward with development. What ends up happening is infinite blame game. We have been doing this for so long that it has become this classical problem of egg and chicken. Which one came first? But as you probably know, I'm not in it for emotional outbursts. I'm in it for education. In order to understand and adapt and become better, we have to analyze environment and draw conclusions that would benefit us in the long run. Today we have a video from a Russian lady, I believe, and she talks about cliché things that cheap men say, a type of man women should avoid if they are searching for high value characteristics. Now, I'm not judging anyone, I just observe and try to decode things that are before me and draw my own conclusions, navigating my life into the direction that aligns with my point of view, wishes and values. For many, this woman will appear as a gold digger, but I don't view it as that. Besides, I have a video about why there is no such thing as a gold digger, and you're welcome to check that one out after watching this one. What I am encouraging you is to look at things rationally and try to understand the person behind this message, where she comes from, her cultural background, and what she is trying to accomplish. Let's dig into it.
Ladies, if you hear this from your man, run. Because the chances are high that this cheapskate or slash freeloader is just here for his own benefit. My dear elegant ladies, welcome back to another video. Ladies, today I really need to warn you for these top 10 cliches that I know many cheap men out there tend to use to manipulate women.
According to her language, I can understand that she has experience with those kind of men and she still carries a lot of emotional baggage regarding those meetings, which can be translated that she has a sort of negativity towards certain type of men. She'll reveal more of it as we go.
And I don't want my dear elegant ladies to be manipulated, so in today's video I'm going to give you some things that you can tell these men when they come with these cheap cliches. Let's start with number 1.
I love independent women.
Oh, you know what I love? I love strong, masculine men. I love men who look after their women and treat their woman like a goddess. There is nothing more attractive than when a man steps into his masculinity and really looks after his woman like a true gentleman. Ah, that's what I love.
She contradicts herself a bit here because she says that she wants a true masculine man who treats her as a goddess. And truth be told, masculinity is not treating anyone in a way that makes him to appear as a doormat. She wants someone to take care of her. And I understand that. That's a very plausible and realistic wish. But at the same time, she expects that man to kiss her ass, to kiss the ground that she walks upon. Because that's what being treated as a goddess means basically. And yet again, I'm not trying to attack her character. I'm just trying to analytically find solidity in her story. A story has to be consistent to hold up.
My ex-girlfriend only used me for my money.
Well, then you know how it feels for us women when men only use us for sex, without committing to us, and without ever taking full responsibility by providing for us like a true gentleman would do. Well, this is how we women feel used.
Now, this is a fun one because I've seen someone else doing review of this video and that person didn't really understand what she means because in their world, sex for women is equally translated to sex for men, which is not true. She has much better understanding of what men and women are valued upon. That being said, men are valued according to their resourcefulness, and women are valued according to their beauty. Now, that's a simplified version, and I have done videos about that. You are welcome to check them out. We can just simplify by saying that men's resourcefulness is one of their biggest commodities, whereas women's beauty is one of their biggest commodities. Now, this doesn't encompass human value. Don't get it twisted. I'm simply talking about relationships and sexuality. And yet again, she mentions that she would like to have a man who treats her as a gentleman. But she only mentions the material side of things, which should tell you about what that woman is after.
If I pay for today's date, will you pay the next?
What?
Oh, if I have to pay for a date, there won't be a next.
The thing with that, she engages men solely from a financial point, and that's understandable, I guess, but I think she misses the whole picture of the interaction between men and women, or at least she forgets to mention it, because as she presents herself, gives a perception that she doesn't enjoy a man's company and only uses him for his financial value, which is a tragic point, because all your interaction with the opposite sex will be based solely on transactional value, like tolerating someone, laying in the bed with that person just because they pay your bills. A horrible scenario to find yourself in.
I don't like materialistic women.
Well, I don't like cheap men. You see, women are gatherers from an evolutionary psychology take. Men are hunters, women are gatherers. This has been part of our genetic programming for millions of years. Now, men are being celebrated for being hunters, but women are continuously shamed by our society for having this instinct of wanting to own things. They call us materialistic and they shame us for it, and in my opinion, this is sexist.
She's very biased because she tries to drive her agenda. Women aren't shamed for being materialistic. And I totally agree with her on the stance that women are gatherers and men are hunters. But truth be told, we can reprogram that type of thinking, which can be observed in the bigger parts of westernized world. As I mentioned before, she's a Russian lady. They tend to be very conservative because the East European culture per se is very conservative. And in those cultures, there are very clear distinctions between gender roles. The bigger parts of Europe and US have heavily adopted the modernized view on gender roles. The reason why in her head she thinks that women are shamed for being materialistic is because she's very blunt with that. I'm always trying to emphasize that relationships, sexuality is a very delicate dance and nothing is to be conveyed very overtly. When we engage in these games, when we interact with each other, we always feel this push-pull dynamic. And in a way, it's because we want to outwit each other, to see what we're about, to get some subtle cues about the character of the person that we're interacting with. And her being this blunt enrages people because she's perceived as being entitled, arrogant, and egocentric.
If you want equality, why should men be paying 100% of the time?
We want equal rights, but that doesn't mean that we are equals. We are not biologically equal. Men and women are built differently. So let's not pretend that we are equals, because that's just a manipulation men use and society use for the man's benefit. Women have far more disadvantages financially in society, but also biologically. This is why we need to stop talking about being equals and instead focus on what's fair. And what's fair is actually if the man takes some form of responsibility, provides for his woman, and like this we would be able to at least balance out some of the unfairnesses that happen between the sexes because of biological reasons and because how our society is built.
There's no such thing as being fair. Life grants us different hands, and we're to play those according to our best abilities. Now here's where her story doesn't hold. She wants equality, equal rights in any aspects, which is a very progressive train of thoughts. Yet she wants a man who would treat her like a gentleman, his goddess. A very conservative train of thoughts. You see how those contradict each other? She wants the benefits of both the left and right ideologies. Yet, she doesn't want the consequences, the trade-offs that those left and right ideologies come with. She wants equal rights, an opportunity to make it on her own to be treated as fairly as everyone else, yet she doesn't want to embody the consequences. She wants a man who would put her on a pedestal, who takes responsibility for providing and provisioning, yet he doesn't have the authority, because equality, right? There are a lot of men who have responsibilities, but they lack authority. That's where the difference lies. If I'm taking care of you, that means I'm responsible for your well-being, which consequently results in me having the authority and dictating the rules in the household. Now, I don't mean being tyrannical. I mean calling the shots, having the last word. If you trust my ability to lead, to provide, then you have to trust my competence to be able to call the shots and move this relationship to the better future.
I want to be with a woman who doesn't depend on me.
Well, that I believe is a responsibility to both the man and the woman to make sure that that doesn't happen in the relationship. From the man's side, he has to truly offer her an allowance so that she contains her independence. She doesn't have to ask him for money every time she wants something, and so that she actually can have some form of savings in case she would need it for a rainy day. Now, with regards to the woman, she has to take her responsibility. She needs to have an education, she needs to have work experience, and of course she needs to have savings. Like this, she will always be independent no matter what happens. Plus, this way, a man will never be able to use that against the woman in order to kind of lock her down in a relationship. However, I am aware that there is a small percentage of women who are just too lazy to work and believe that staying with a man, even if they don't like him, is better than going and work full-time in some job that they hate. Now, I don't support that type of behavior, but unfortunately, there will always be people out there who just do things like this. However, I don't think it's fair for the rest of the female population to be judged and categorized as these type of women just because a small percentage does it. Most women are not like this. Most women are intelligent and smart and will want to keep their independence as much as possible. So let's not generalize everybody and just focus on what's fair for the women.
You see, she is again contradicting herself. On one hand, she says that she would be presented some allowance so that she could spend it freely. But on the other hand, she has to have an education and be able to make her own money. So which one is it? If you're making your own money, why are you getting allowance? If you're getting allowance, why are you making your own money and not taking care of the house and the eventual babies that you would have with that man? Also, most women intelligent. Come on, I would say most people, most human beings aren't smart, intelligent. Otherwise, Kim Kardashian wouldn't be the most popular person on Instagram. Let's be honest. And that's not knock on her personality. That's more telling about the people who represent the biggest portion of consumerism. Now, I wouldn't mind to take care of a woman, but in this case, she wants to have a safety net, have her education, her own money, yet spend my money that I bring to the house. And she talks a lot about the unfairness in societies, that women have less privileges than men, which is a BS. And there's a lot of content talking about that. You're welcome to check that out. This is about learning the truth and adapting accordingly. You cannot control others. The only person you can transform and improve is the person that looks back at you in the mirror.
So you want me to pay you a salary for being with me?
This is not a job. This is not a salary. This is a very skewed way of looking at it. It's like as if you are literally passively aggressively calling a woman to be a prostitute. Only very defensive men would say such a thing, and they would use it as a manipulation strategy in order to shame her.
Now, to be fair, prostitution is about business. It's about financial transaction between a man and a woman. Money for sex. And to me, it appears that she doesn't enjoy the company of a man, which is basically that, where she has to get paid in order to accompany a man, which is yet again very tragic, but that's what she communicates to us. If a woman is infatuated, she doesn't care about his financial status. But that doesn't imply that a woman that you meet doesn't have to have standards. You want a woman who would like to have a high value man, because it will push your own development and incentivize yourself to become better.
A true gentleman who takes full ownership of his masculinity would actually feel honored to be able to support the woman that he has by his side and that he truly cares for.
Now, she defines her own sense of masculinity, which is very manipulative. She tries to restructure what masculinity is about. It's not about worshipping women. Yes, masculinity and femininity are symbiotically intertwined. But that doesn't mean that the whole sense of masculinity stems from worshipping the feminine, because worshipping implies weakness. You see someone above yourself. And if you are that, as she contradicts herself, no woman would respect you. For a woman to respect you, she has to trust your abilities, your competence, and not becoming a doormat, especially through succumbing to her emotional needs.
He will want to offload her shoulders with some of the burden. So it's all about from what perspective you look at it.
What do you bring to the table?
Are you seriously asking me this?
She didn't answer. How comedic. How funny. A very relevant question, yet we have no answer.
It's like you're only with me because of the money.
Well, do you know, as women, we have to constantly wonder and worry about, is he with me because of the sex, or because of the looks, or because I cook so well, or clean so well, or does his dirty laundry? I don't know.
Yet again, she demonstrates that she doesn't enjoy company of a man. Is always with him just because there's some kind of a transaction going on between them. By now, she's just coming up with excuses to rationalize her story, which is very shaky and doesn't really hold.
You're acting entitled.
You know that men act entitled on a daily basis, and it's fully normal. They act entitled when every day they are in bed, humping your leg, wanting sex from you, wanting this from you.
What the fuck? Humping your leg, wanting sex from you? That sounds very odd and awkward, creepy. Why are you with a man who humps your leg and wants sex from you, which implies that you are not giving that, which implies that you don't want to have sex with him, that you are not aroused by him, which implies that the times you have sex with him feels like a chore, something that you have to do in order to keep this transaction running. He is sick for being with you and you are sick for keeping up with that. And when I say sick, I don't mean physically, I mean emotionally.
And they don't feel shy when they want you to cook something, to clean something, to run an errand, to look after the kids, to do this, to do that. Now that's okay, but as soon as a woman is asking for this one thing, then we are these entitled gold diggers. Do you see the unfairness? Now ladies, not all men are of course like this. There are good men and there are bad men.
A gold digger is basically a woman who is being very blunt about her transactional intentions with a man. That's it. Most men in relationships make more money and consequently invest more money into the relationship. But those women aren't perceived as gold diggers. You are being perceived as a gold digger because you are very blunt with it, which I don't judge, but that's the reality of the game. Very interesting video, yet again, it's her cultural background, but she gets this thing between men and women very twisted, where she wants the best from the both sides, but refuses to acknowledge the drawbacks. Feed me only the positives, but none of the negatives. Hope this was educational. What is your stance in this matter? Tell me in the comment section. For more videos on gender dynamics, click this playlist. A lot of good stories. You will get some laughter and some knowledge. But for now, Poppy out.